4. I'm going to begin with a very, very brief opening meditation, and then we'll drop right into the channeling state. So let's go ahead and find a nice, comfortable meditation posture, feeling the alignment of our body, bringing our awareness into the body, and feeling our presence within the body. Feeling the life force that flows through the body, animating our tissues and cells, and that stream of consciousness that is ever present, dropping more deeply into that awareness of that stream of consciousness, that eternal presence that resides within. Allowing ourselves to become open and receptive to extra-dimensional information, consciousness, to the expansion of our awareness to our inner selves, whereby we can connect to many levels and layers of information, experience. With us open to those extra-dimensional aspects of our consciousness, and into the field of universal awareness. Good day to you. We welcome you to the realms of light, where the vast majorities of who you are also exist. We welcome you to these realms of light, from where your physical lives, your physical personalities, and your entire physical worlds also springs. We welcome you to the resumption of these transmissions after taking a brief pause in your time-space reality. We appreciate this co-creation, for it greatly helps to accelerate and anchor in these frequencies into your dimensional experience, your time-space reality, your earth perspective. For it requires a kind of grounding to create a kind of circuitry. And those of you who are experiencing the physical realm are the most physically focused aspects of this great consciousness. And it is through each and every one of you that all that is gets to experience itself in these finite proportions in time-space reality. Now, when each of you then in turn connects inwardly and begins to connect to these extra-dimensional layers of consciousness, so too do you then bring that consciousness down to earth, as it were, creating circuits, bridges, links. And you become powerful co-creators, moving from the unconscious realm and the amnesia of physicality to being conscious co-creators, whereby you flow this energy in awareness, in presence, and you begin to realize how flexible it is, how malleable it is. And so you are awakening. Those of you that participate in these kinds of gatherings and experiences, you are becoming more lucid in your waking reality. And you are greatly appreciated by not only the beings that you encounter in your world that are still in the grips of amnesia, but also by all the other aspects of yourselves focused in other dimensions, sometimes what you refer to as the guides, the angelic beings, and so on. Much appreciation flows to you from these extra-dimensional places, but also recognize the roles that you play in the awakening of Earth, because you are providing that vital function of grounding this energy into your time-space, and thusly each person that you do encounter. There's always the probability and possibility that some of this will rub off on them a little bit, that you might, even perhaps without saying anything profound, give them a sense that there is something more than the reality that they have bought into. Because many on your planet are very much still in a deep state of amnesia, forgetfulness of these extra-dimensional realities from which we speak. Lastly, you have no idea to what degree you do rub off on others, even when you don't speak of spiritual matters. Simply your perspective, your presence, can do much to anchor in this vibration and to spread it. Like a pebble thrown into a pond, the ripples go far and wide, and you have no idea how special you are and how important you are in this grand symphony that you call life on Earth. So we are here to tell you that you are that important, and that the show must go on with you, and the show cannot go on without you, for you are an integral part of that symphony. You are an integral part of that puzzle formation. You are incredibly valued. And this is our message for today, to truly deliver to you the profound nature of that which you do. For many of you, from time to time, fall into periods of, shall we say, a little bit of darkness, a little bit of your own amnesia as you work through the negative beliefs that you are still harboring. And we understand these periods can be extremely challenging from your vantage point. Thusly, know that help is always available, and help is always flowing to you. At the same time, you are given your free will to work through your challenges in your own unique way, to take as much time as you need. No pressure from externally is put upon you. But of course, you can put pressures on yourselves, and you can demand certain things of yourself from a physical mind level, creating stress and tension. Thusly, as you are discovering, falling into that neutral state and allowing things to be as they are, truly does take a little bit of that pressure off and allows you to flow a little bit more easily through these periods, through these challenges. So there is much love and appreciation for each and every one of you, for it is inherently challenging to forget who you are and to experience existence from the vantage point of that level of forgetfulness. You all have immense courage, and regardless of how you choose to value yourselves or what you buy into from your society as to the nature of your value, you are incredibly valued. You have tremendous value in this grand symphony of all that is, and specifically in this symphony of your physical lives. Now, when you cross over, as you say in your terms, you will, certainly upon doing life review, have a tremendous capacity to experience the way that you have affected others. And you might be in for quite a surprise when you realize just how far those ripples go, how many people you affect, because you do not affect only the people that you interact with physically. You affect those that you interact with non-physically, and you affect those that are affected by those that you have already affected, where the ripples move from person to person. You are living in a vibrational reality. And when you are doing life review, your senses are expanded to where you see the entirety and the ripples, the way they ripple through existence because of who you are, and not even necessarily tied to what you do, but just your presence alone. It has revealed to you the value that you do have and the impact that you have. Now, as you are in your physical time-space reality, your senses are very, very narrowly focused. Thusly, you do not see but beyond the range of your 5 senses and an occasional bursting forth, bursting into your physical domain, your physical mind, psychic information from time to time, dream information, whereby you experience more portions of yourselves. But much of this is still very, very cloaked, even when you are having extra-dimensional experiences, because that is the nature of the themes you chose to explore. And that is the power of consciousness, to focus you down to such a high degree, and then to expand back out and see yourselves from that vaster vantage point. Now, we have spoken in previous transmissions of cubicles, and so we simply will remind you of that even within your physical experience, you have quite a range of consciousness. And while we speak often of the limitations of physicality, you are moving through the age of transformation whereby you can step out of many of the previously held limitations of 3rd density as you step into 4th density, and you gain a little bit more perspective. So you peek above the cubicles and realize that there are other portions of yourselves. You get glimpses that you are experiencing other parallel realities, other parallel lives. And this can greatly enhance your sense of belonging within this vaster field of consciousness of yourself. So this will continue to happen, this will continue to accelerate, and of course, so too will be the acceleration of consciousness towards recognizing the way that you do limit yourselves. For you must bring these areas into awareness so that you can transform them in consciousness. For you cannot transform what you do not own. So you must bring it to your consciousness, bring it up into your awareness so you can look at it and thusly change it, evaluate it, work with it. So for now, this will be our transmission. However, we feel that there are potential jumping off points, many parallel reality discussions, potentialities, based upon the questions that you bring to the table, as it were. So we will at this time now invite questions, and remember that you must first, of course, unmute your technology for the question to arrive here.
Hello, Illi.
Good day to you.
I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for your information.
We are always doing very, very well.
Great. And would you recommend to for us to interpret our dreams? For example, if we see different dreams, let's say where different negative cases are happening, different negative situations, and when we don't quite understand those dreams, how you would suggest us to interpret them?
Very good. Very good question. Now we will invite you to consider that our answer will not only be for dreams, but it will also relate to your physical lives as well. Because your physical lives are another version of a dream that your soul is having. Now the idea is that reality is multi-layered, multi-dimensional, and you have been trained to focus on but one layer or one sliver of this consciousness. Now within your physical lives and within your dreams are many, many symbols Thusly, as you begin to interpret your life, your dreaming life and your physical life, you will recognize that symbols abound, and each symbol can be a touchstone to many other lives, realities, existences, as well as psychological symbols relevant to your physical life and your dreaming life that you are experiencing in that present moment. For you are experiencing many present moments simultaneously. Thusly, each of your present moments, as it crystallizes into what you perceive, a kind of form-based reality for the most part in your dreams, as well as your physical reality. We will speak of these for now. All of those crystallizations, they are symbolic. They are, of course, your bedrock reality within which you're experiencing the consensus reality or a self-created reality in the dream time. And of course, there are consensus realities even in the dream times as well. But the idea is you have your one frequency of consciousness that is the day-to-day happening, the happening of that event. So a bed is a bed, a floor is a floor, a cigar is a cigar, as you say. Now, each of these elements will also have a multidimensional component to them. So on one level, the floor might represent grounding, stability, a sense of being stable in who you are and being supported. A foundation, as it were. So there is a symbolic, of course, meaning as well, which can relate to your psychological experience. And on it goes like this. The bed can represent portals to other dimensions, because that is the place where you move through a variety of levels of consciousness. So these are some very, very basic examples. Now, you might have a piece of art on your wall, and it might represent a pretty picture, a pretty scene, but lo and behold, this might be a beloved landscape that another parallel version of you is experiencing as they wake up each day in their reality. And likewise, even the nature of certain clothes that you wear. There may be resonances to another parallel version of you that for whom that particular style is predominant, whereas for you it might be something you wear on rare occasions. And you can feel these connections. You feel a kind of depth. And certainly you feel it by being drawn to certain styles. You might enjoy a nice movie. For example, you might enjoy some nice movie set in Paris at a certain time period. And for you, it's an enjoyable movie and you don't think much of it. And yet another version of you is experiencing life in Paris in that time period. And so you are making a connection. These connections abound. And as soon as you begin to consider them and look for them, they will become apparent and more apparent, because you'll train your consciousness to follow these threads of awareness. And they are all around you all the time. Just consider these simple questions like, what art are you surrounded by? What is on your desktop, on your computer? What kind of styles of clothing are you drawn to? Very simple ideas, music that you like. All of these have threads to other realities, other experiences, other versions of you. Now, certain hobbies, for example, that you take up in your current life that are seemingly like dead ends. Let us say you take up painting, but it is just a hobby. You do it here and there a little bit, but mainly let us say you are even an accountant, for example. But you have some part of you that likes to draw, that likes to paint, but you don't do much with it in that life. But in another life, another version of you is pursuing art and has a curious knack for numbers, but that is all it is in that life. It is simply a kind of a latent ability, because you're developing art in that life and you're developing your mathematical, this aspect of the mind that works with numbers in this life. So you see these threads abound. Now, when you are more specifically dealing with dream symbols, and you're looking for interpretations, understand that your dreams have many layers, and each symbol, even in your physical life this is true, but we are going to dive into this, the nature of your question about dreams. So each symbol in your life, in your dream, will represent many, many layers. So one symbol, you might have a symbol of a rose, for example, and it connects to one life in one unique way, another life in another unique way, a third parallel version of you in another unique way. It might connect to another existence in another dimension in another unique way. So you see, you have one symbol and it has many, many layers. Thusly, when you interpret a dream, be aware that it's not this or that, it's this and this and this and this. So you have many layers. So when you make one interpretation of a dream, that is but one interpretation, and you might have 10 other interpretations as you sit with it and meditate upon it. So this is something to consider, rather than going about it in a sense of, is this the right interpretation or not right? Consider that this is just one aspect of a multidimensional series of interpretations. As a crystal has many facets, so too does each dream have many different ways of interpreting it based on the configuration of consciousness. It is a bit like looking through a kaleidoscope, and you see one pattern, and this is a valid pattern, but you turn it a little bit and everything shifts, and now you see another pattern, but you're using the same elements. You're not putting new elements into the kaleidoscope. They're the same elements, you're just looking at it from another angle, and things shift and you see it in a new way, you see a new pattern. This is how your dreams operate. So allow yourself to be very open-ended in your interpretations, and understand that once you get an interpretation, you can turn your perspective like you turn the kaleidoscope, and poof, you can get a completely new interpretation that doesn't invalidate the previous interpretation. Now, each symbol you can dive in and simply connect to it. Let's say you have a certain symbol or a certain event in your dream. You can journal about it, you can write it in your journal, and then simply say, well, how does this make me feel? What is the feeling quality here? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it love? Is it exaltation? Is it trepidation? So interpret it through feeling. You can go into, as Seth used to call psi time, or a kind of free-floating meditative state, and bring yourself in your imagination to that symbol and just see what kind of touchstones, where it leads you, what comes up, as it were. And play with it in your mind, in your imagination. And you can write down free-form associations that you have to that. Words, feelings, or perhaps even other events or experiences as they relate to in your physical life, and you'll start to see the threads. And you might begin to notice that that dream event feels like this certain event that's happening in my physical life, and oh, there's a connection, because you understand, you see that connection by the feeling tone. You recognize, just as when you are picking up clothes and you feel a certain resonance to a certain style, because underneath you are connecting to a parallel version of yourself for whom that style is more predominant. So you feel a link. So look for those links, those threads of consciousness, those strands of consciousness. And you can unpack your symbols thusly through journaling, through free-form imagination, psi time, as Seth likes to say, and allow yourself to jot down any ideas and follow the threads, and you'll begin to see the way the symbols are being framed up for you by your physical mind, for they are the interface between your physical mind and your higher mind. So that will be our answer. We hope it helps, and we ask if there's any other clarifications on this or any other subject.
I have a question about the dream state. Is it possible in your dream state to perceive parallel realities, such as a lot of times when I'm dreaming I'm actually perceiving the life I would have had if I had stayed in a profession and it had progressed, or if I continued to do some sort of behavior that I don't do now. It's like the person that was doing that is still alive and doing it. It's just not in my reality. And that in my dreaming state, I can kind of perceive it and look out through those eyes of the person I would have been if I would have continued on that path. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but
It makes perfect sense and it is perfectly accurate. And you can do this even in your physical awareness. Once you've developed this knack of following these threads of consciousness, you will be able to perceive this even physically. This is part of what is happening in your age of awakening. But absolutely true that you can, especially in your dream states, follow threads that are followed by other parallel versions of you, because at every juncture, literally in every frame, in every moment, you split off into multiples of parallel realities, and this is a little bit of another topic. But the idea is that, let us just bring it down to something in simple terms. Every time you make a choice, there is a version of you that makes the other choice or other choices. And so you can learn to follow through the threads of those other versions of you that made other choices, as you say, stayed in a certain career, continued a certain pattern of behavior, or perhaps moved to another city, let us say. Whatever the choice was, stayed with a certain partner, decided to end a relationship, change something. So all of those threads can be followed, and they are followed. And now you are awakening to the fact that some portion of your consciousness does hold all of these in simultaneous form. And so in your dream states where you become a little bit more unlocked from physicality, you do gain glimpses of these other paths, other branches, other train tracks, other roads that were taken by other versions of you. So absolutely, yes. And this will continue to accelerate, and you can accelerate it by continuing to play with it as long as it is done in joy and excitement without insistence. Then it will continue to open. So does that help or answer, or is there something else to clarify?
no, that's fine. Thank you.
Yes, this is a very beautiful ability that you have. Now, of course, as we know that you know, you can predict. And of course, when we say predict, you can put it in quotes because we use the word a little bit differently. But you can run through parallel reality scenarios where future choices are explored. And you can ask different future versions of you to give you a report, as it were, or you can peek in on them or see through their eyes and feel their feelings of what happens when I take this choice. Let's say you are going into future reality. You say you want to move to another city, stay in the city, and then ask those or connect with those future versions of you and just get a sense, an inkling of what is it like in this choice, that choice, staying here, going there. Of course, we understand that you use this and you know this very well, but it is part of a greater part of the answer, shall we say.
You know, I do that all the time. I think I have a natural ability to do that, and I just assumed everybody else did.
Yes, and this is another idea, is that many of you that have these abilities naturally open or have opened during the course of your lives. It seems like everybody else is using them, but you are living in a world where there is much limitation. So many of the abilities you have, others do not have. And these are gifts that you have. And simply by being and using those gifts, you put out a frequency, a vibration. Now, of course, you can physically teach these and demonstrate them for others, but even just by simply being yourselves and using these abilities, you are putting into the collective consciousness another possibility that creates a kind of harmonic in the field that allows other people to know that these abilities do exist and they can begin to tap into them because you are using them. So you add to the collective field, to the collective awakening, every time you use your gifts. So that is another angle here, or another insight. So any other questions? Very good. Then let us take a few moments to rest in these vibrations and these frequencies, because these transmissions are not only collections of words and spoken language, they are collections of harmonics and frequencies, patterns of light and sound, vibration that is being received by other portions of you. Whether you are here physically in time-space or listening to a recording, these frequencies are available. We are broadcasting them all the time, as it were, in your understanding of time. So you can tap in at any time. So feel yourself anchoring into this moment in a way that enables you to come back into these frequency bands at any time you wish throughout your physical lives. You can follow any thread back to this place. Likewise, you yourselves can create threads to connect to your own higher minds at any time and any place, for that is ever available. And these sessions are but tools, aids and assistances, permission slips to help you to connect to your own higher minds, for that is what is paramount. And that is why these are conversations with the higher mind, for they are conversations with your own higher minds, which we are merely reflecting. For that is what our name Illi represents. It represents the mirror. Thusly, we wish very much to mirror your own higher minds to you, to each and every one of you. So let us now give you the sense of deeper appreciation that we feel for you showing up, for being yourselves, for being as constant physical reality as you are, and for being present here for this transmission, aiding and assisting the anchoring of this vibration to your world. You are incredibly appreciated for this. So rest in that appreciation of yourselves. For when you appreciate yourself, as the word implies, you raise in frequency and your higher minds become more available to you. So appreciate what you are, and with that then we will send you off with whatever blessings are ours to give, we give, and we encourage you to give your own blessings to yourselves. And with that then we will wish you a beautiful, loving, heartfelt, good day. Well, all right. Welcome back.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for continuing the experiment, right? The experiment continues and we'll just see where it goes.